Muck Disaster, Muck Disaster, Brent Green.
It had been a grueling 3 days. One actor after another came in for tryouts. There were various clowns and jugglers and all kinds of entertainers. It was a very serious business. The owners sat around a table, usually having a scowl, and I wasn't sure we were going to be able to get through this. But finally, Jeff joined us, Jeff Stone. And we learned that he was a juggler, he was a magician, he could sing, he had all the qualities. Physical, he had to be at least 6 foot tall. Emotional, he had to be a person of great empathy. And then finally, he had to have great social skills, especially with kids. And he met all criteria. So Jeff got the job. Within 2 weeks, Jeff was on a plane to Chicago to Ronald McDonald University. Yes, there is a Ronald McDonald University taught by the original Ronald that we all know from television. And he's taught all kinds of things necessary to do the part perfectly. A few weeks later, we had a Ronald appearance in the Pueblo Mall. So I picked Jeff up at his home and we started heading down south I-25. And then I noticed something. There was somewhat of an odor that I wasn't expecting. Well, I am always prepared, those of you who know me. So I said, Jeff, this is some great aftershave. Why don't you give it a try? And then while you're at it, have a couple of breath mints. It'll refresh you. So we're driving down I-25, and then I got the full impact of this icon known by children more than Santa Claus. So we saw cars go by us because I'm going the speed limit. I'm not going to speed. Kids are going absolutely nuts. You know, you could see them gesturing. It was like pandemonium on I-25. We finally got to the Pueblo Mall and went in a private entrance. The mall wasn't open, so it was just rather relaxed. And we had conversation with the mall manager. And finally, it was 11 o'clock. The mall was going to be open for the day. And I said, okay, let's walk out. Let's stay cool. I'll be nearby, Jeff. Walk out. We walk into the mall, and I am not exaggerating. There were 500 kids. So we walk out. Nobody is paying attention. But then suddenly a little kid looks up and says, there's Ronald McDonald. Ronald. Well, that was pandemonium number 2. 500 kids start running toward Ronald McDonald. Jeff is very cool, but I'm not. So I have to go into my CIA mode. And that was to basically make sure that nothing weird happened. And Jeff was loving and picked up kids and, had them laughing and everything else, doing his job. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw 2 or 3 teenage boys. And I could see, my instincts were sharp, and I could see that they were going for the wig. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a career-defining moment where everything is going to be ruined for the rest of your life. I could imagine Ronald McDonald wigless on the cover of the New York Times. You would have an icon like this disrobed in front of the entire national audience. You could imagine it would not go well for my career. So I got close to Ronald and I deflected the kids as they were going up for the wig. And I was starting to say, Ronald, we're going to have to cut this short because it's getting weird and we need to leave the situation as quickly as possible, which we proceeded to do in spite of the fact that kids were mobbing him and loving him and having a great time. And you people in Toastmasters who were children of the 80s, you probably know exactly what I was talking about. we got through it. The wig did not come off. And Jeff filled that part perfectly, that part that he had studied for and he had trained for, and he'd learned from the best in the business. And he became an icon in Colorado Springs and Pueblo, Southern Colorado, because there's Ronalds all over the country. I hate to disappoint anybody, but like Santa Claus, there are multiple Ronalds. Jeff was not only known as a clown and Ronald, but he was loved by the community. He was a minstrel around this time of year. He would go around with a group of people dressed in 1880s costumes and singing Christmas carols. He was known for that. He was known as a clown, but he was also known as an actor and a singer and so forth. So this speech is for Jeff because he passed away in October, and it led to a full-page article in the Gazette-Telegraph in Colorado Springs. That's how much he was loved and admired. His days as Ronald McDonald way in the past at that point. This was a moment I can never forget. Disaster almost happened, but it led to a lot of beauty over many years.
Great job.